on March 15, 2025. 240 miles southwest of Pearl Harbor, where the Pacific Ocean stretches endlessly under a blood-orange dawn, something ghostly emerged from the abyss. The USS Virginia, a nuclear attack submarine conducting routine patrol operations, detected an acoustic anomaly moving at 32 knots beneath the thermocline. What they found would change everything. A Chinese Type 095 Tang-class nuclear attack submarine loaded with 12 YJ-18 supersonic anti-ship missiles and 24 U-10 heavyweight torpedoes had infiltrated Hawaiian waters undetected. The stealth boat carried something far more dangerous than conventional weapons. It was deploying advanced underwater sensor networks designed to map America's most classified submarine detection grid. 27 sailors aboard the Virginia watched their sonar screens light up like Christmas trees as the enemy sub launched a coordinated electronic warfare attack, jamming communications and GPS systems across a 100-square-mile area. For 18 terrifying minutes, America's Pacific Fleet was blind and deaf in its own backyard. But they underestimated the enemy they were facing. When the Pentagon's red phone rang at 0347 hours, Admiral Sarah Mitchell's response was immediate and devastating. "Launch Operation Neptune's Fury," she commanded. "I want that submarine and everything it represents at the bottom of the ocean by sunset. Come with me to discover what happened when America's underwater wolves were unleashed." At precisely 0322 hours, Hawaiian Standard Time, the Chinese submarine executed what military analysts would later call the most sophisticated underwater infiltration attempt in modern naval history. The Tang-class boat had been operating in a thermal layer 300 feet below the surface, using advanced anechoic tiles and a revolutionary pump jet propulsion system to mask its acoustic signature. Captain Liu Wei, commanding the People's Liberation Army Navy's most advanced hunter-killer submarine, had spent 6 months planning this reconnaissance mission. His orders were clear: deploy a network of bottom-mounted hydrophone arrays that could monitor American submarine traffic between Pearl Harbor and the strategic missile submarine base at Kings Bay. The Virginia-class submarine USS Colorado, patrolling nearby waters, lost 3 critical sonar arrays to sophisticated cyber warfare attacks launched from the Chinese boat. For 43 minutes, a 200-square-mile area of the Pacific became a digital dead zone. American early warning systems registered nothing but static. But at 0405 hours, Chief Sonar Technician Marcus Rodriguez aboard the USS Hawaii detected something the Chinese hadn't counted on: the distinctive cavitation signature of their pump jet drive system. "Con, sonar," Rodriguez's voice crackled over the intercom. "I've got a submerged contact bearing 270, range 12,000 yards, moving fast and trying real hard not to be seen." The hunter had become the hunted. America's response would be swift and merciless. What the Chinese submarine crew didn't realize was that they had just violated the most sensitive underwater territory in the Pacific. The area they had infiltrated wasn't just any patch of ocean, it was the classified approach corridor to the Pearl Harbor submarine base, where America's nuclear deterrent submarines transit between their berths and the deep Pacific. In the basement of the Pentagon, CENSPAC Admiral James Thompson was briefing Defense Secretary Victoria Hayes on the gravity of the situation. "Ma'am, this isn't just espionage." Thompson's weathered face was grim on the secure video feed. "If they successfully map our submarine detection grid, they could potentially track our ballistic missile submarines. We're talking about compromising the entire nuclear triad." The implications were staggering. China's growing submarine fleet had been probing American defenses for months, but this was the first time they had penetrated so deeply into Hawaiian waters. Intelligence analysts estimated that a successful mapping mission could provide Beijing with the underwater geographical data needed to shadow American missile submarines during their strategic deterrent patrols. At 0430 hours, President Morrison was awakened in the White House residence. The conversation lasted exactly 97 seconds. His authorization was simple: eliminate the threat. Send a message that will be heard in Beijing loud and clear. Still watching? Good. Because now comes the part where America's underwater arsenal shows exactly why the Pacific is called an American lake. Operation Neptune's Fury launched at 0445 hours. With the kind of coordinated precision that makes the U.S. Navy the world's premier maritime force, Admiral Mitchell mobilized assets that Beijing didn't even know existed in Hawaiian waters. From Pearl Harbor's submarine pens, the USS Seawolf, America's most advanced hunter-killer submarine, launched with a full combat load: 48 Moaka 48AD CAP torpedoes and 12 Tomahawk cruise missiles. Simultaneously, the guided missile destroyer USS Zumwalt positioned herself above the contact area, her electromagnetic railguns charged and her AN/S PY-3 radar array scanning for any surface threats. But the crown jewel of the response was the USS Jimmy Carter, a Seawolf-class boat modified for special operations and underwater surveillance. Equipped with classified sonar arrays that could track a whisper at 50 miles, Carter had been tracking the Chinese submarine since it crossed the 200-mile limit. Commander Sarah Ice Blackwood, a 22-year submarine veteran, received her orders directly from Pacific Fleet Command. Find it, fix it, and finish it. Rules of engagement are weapons-free. That submarine does not leave Hawaiian waters. The mobilization took exactly 17 minutes, faster than any similar operation in naval history. 3 attack submarines, 2 destroyers, and a P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft converged on a target that thought it was invisible. Captain Liu Wei was about to learn that there's nowhere to hide in America's ocean. At 05:02 hours, the USS Jimmy Carter's sonar operator locked onto the Chinese submarine's exact position. Contact designated Sierra 1, bearing 185, range 8,000 yards, depth 300 feet. Petty Officer Williams announced with deadly calm. The Tang-class submarine was attempting to sprint for international waters at maximum speed, its nuclear reactor pushing 34 knots through the dark Pacific. But Captain Liu had made a critical error. In his rush to escape, he had abandoned stealth for speed, and his cavitation signature lit up American sonar screens like a neon sign. Commander Blackwood's voice was ice cold over the tactical communication system. Firing point procedures, Tube 1, target Sierra 1. The USS Jimmy Carter's first Mk-48 AD cap torpedo splashed into the water at 05:04 hours, its sophisticated guidance system immediately acquiring the fleeing submarine. Simultaneously, the USS Seawolf positioned herself for a flanking attack from the Chinese submarine's starboard beam. The 2 American submarines had executed a perfect pincer movement, trapping their target between walls of sonar-guided death. At 05:07 hours, both American submarines launched a coordinated torpedo salvo. 4 Mk-48 torpedoes, each carrying 650 pounds of PBX explosive, raced through the water at 45 knots. The Chinese submarine's crew had exactly 93 seconds to react. Captain Liu ordered emergency ballast blow and full reverse power, but the Tang-class submarine's pump jet system couldn't match the raw acceleration of American weapons. The first torpedo struck amidships at 05:09 hours, followed immediately by 3 more impacts that tore the Chinese boat's pressure hull like tissue paper. But the mission wasn't finished. As the crippled Chinese submarine began its death spiral toward the ocean floor, American sonar operators detected something that changed everything. The boat was attempting to jettison classified equipment pods before sinking. "Not on my watch," Commander Blackwood growled. At 05:12 hours, the USS Jimmy Carter launched 2 more Mk-48 torpedoes, their warheads detonating in a coordinated pattern that ensured complete destruction of the target and its intelligence-gathering equipment. The explosion registered on seismographs in California. When the debris cloud settled, there was nothing left of China's most advanced submarine but scattered metal fragments drifting toward the abyssal depths. But Operation Neptune's fury was far from over. At 05:20 hours, the USS Hawaii's sonar array detected a second acoustic signature moving at high speed toward the engagement area. A Chinese Type 093 Shang-class nuclear attack submarine apparently attempting a rescue operation. Admiral Mitchell's response was immediate and overwhelming. "All units, weapons free. I want a clear message sent to Beijing. American waters are not to be violated." The guided missile destroyer USS Zumwalt, positioned 12 miles above the action, launched a coordinated barrage that demonstrated the full spectrum of American naval power. 4 RIM 174 standard extended range. Active missiles streaked through the morning sky, their active radar seekers painting the approaching submarine's snorkel signature. At 05:24 hours, the Chinese submarine attempted an emergency dive, but the Zumwalt's advanced sonar had already passed targeting data to the USS Virginia. Commander Patricia Hayes, the Virginia's captain, didn't hesitate. "Fire tubes 1 through 4, she ordered. 4 more Mk-48 torpedoes entered the water, followed by a devastating barrage from the USS Seawolf. The second Chinese submarine lasted exactly 47 seconds after the first torpedo impact. Its nuclear reactor compartment breached and flooding within minutes. The P-8 Poseidon aircraft overhead confirmed total destruction. Home plate, Overwatch 2-1. Both contacts are confirmed destroyed, no survivors visible, debris field extending over 2 square miles. In less than 23 minutes, 2 of China's most advanced submarines had been reduced to scattered wreckage on the Pacific floor. The total operational cost to the People's Liberation Army Navy, over $2 billion and 154 highly trained submariners. The message was clear: America's Pacific remains American water. Operation Neptune's Fury concluded at 05:45 hours with the most decisive underwater victory in modern naval history. In 23 minutes of coordinated naval warfare, the United States had eliminated 2 advanced Chinese submarines, destroyed millions of dollars in sophisticated intelligence gathering equipment, and sent an unmistakable message to Beijing. The strategic implications were profound. China had spent decades developing submarine technology designed to challenge American naval supremacy in the Pacific. In less than half an hour, those ambitions lay shattered on the ocean floor alongside their most advanced underwater assets. Secretary of Defense Victoria Hayes' statement to the press was deliberately measured but unmistakably threatening. The United States Navy maintains absolute control of the Pacific Ocean. Any attempt to violate American territorial waters or threaten our strategic assets will be met with immediate and overwhelming force. For naval commanders in Beijing watching through their intelligence networks, the message was crystal clear. America's submarine force remained the apex predator of the world's oceans, and the Pacific theater belonged to the stars and stripes. The wreckage of the Chinese submarines would serve as an eternal reminder to any nation considering challenging American naval supremacy. In the deep waters of the Pacific, there is only one rule: American submarines hunt, and everything else is prey. To every potential adversary watching from Moscow to Tehran to Pyongyang, American power isn't just about surface ships and aircraft carriers. It's about warriors operating in the most hostile environment on Earth, ready to defend freedom beneath the waves where silence means survival and precision means victory. The Pacific remembers who owns these waters. Do you?